Hi everyone, I'm Luke Hector and you're watching the Broken Meeple. This is a YouTube channel about board games where I give reviews, top 10s and my honest opinions, regardless of the consequences.
Get on with it!
So thank you everybody who's given me some feedback over the first part of this top 100s. Apparently this format of going a bit quicker through say the bottom 60 games, maybe even the bottom 80 games, is certainly running quite popular. I definitely intend to do the last 20 in batches of 10. Maybe the 30 and 40, we'll see. It depends how many other videos I've got to get done. I'm leaning more towards doing that in a batch of 20 for the 40 to 20, but we'll see how it goes. So in terms of this section of the list, as I look at my little chart in front of me, I've got, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new games, and 2 of them are returns to the list. Returns, well, I think one of them was on the list before, I'm not entirely sure, but one of them's definitely returning. The rest of them, though, you've seen before, and there's quite a few drops, yes. This is certainly the section where most games have gone down for that sense. Although, obviously, the ones that returned to the list went up, and, oh, actually, that one went up quite sizably. Must have been down to some recent games, but we'll see. Anyway, let's get on with it. Now, a bit of context on my number 80. This is a social deduction game, and most social deduction games I loved before. I'm starting to wane off them now. There's a few choice ones that I get that I get behind, but I think, if I'm right, I mean, saying that, there are 1 or 2 that are a bit later. This is one of my go-to social deduction games that I pull out now, because a lot of those ones from the past, like Resistance and that, they feel dated, they've gotten old, but this one, and, well, even Werewolf, Werewolf and One Night Werewolf, I got bored of those as well. This one, though, Werewords, which continues the whole One Night Werewolf thing, is the one that I like to bring out, and that is my 80. This one is essentially it's basically One Night Werewolf, in which you've got the villagers and the werewolves, and then there's a seer and all that. But it combines an element of Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, which has the ending where, if the good side can guess who the bad people are, they'll win, and vice versa. But it's done with the 20 questions, and everybody knows 20 questions. This game is just so simple to teach.
No, it is not a cookie!
You basically just assign the roles, you have a tiny little bit of a night phase to say, oh, wake up, do this, open your eyes, etc. And then you just get going, 20 questions of which you've got to guess a word that the mayor has seen. But then even if you get it right or wrong, there's a chance for either side to win if they can guess, if the werewolves can guess the seer, they win. If the villagers can guess a werewolf, they win. So it's got multiple ways that you can win, but with a way for the other team to pull it back. It's just such a simple, clever little game. It uses the app on your phone, nice and easy. It's easier to get into than One Night Werewolf because it doesn't have quite so many insane roles. I mean, yeah, there are some different roles in here, but you could just play villagers versus werewolves and the seer and have a pretty decent time. It doesn't actually need the special roles. So I really like it. This one has returned to the list. It wasn't on my top 100 before, but recently I've been bringing it out more and it's done pretty well.
Of course it's an orange! I just told you it was an orange!
Me just right!
So my number 79 has dropped 30 places from 49. This one is going on the slight downhill, but I still really enjoy it. Hidden movement games are something I quite enjoy, but the problem is they tend to take way too long. This one, outside of a 4-player game where people don't hurry up and get on with their turns, can take a bit long. And that's probably why it has gone down a little bit, because I have found myself playing in those situations. But I still really enjoy Sniper Elite. Sniper Elite is a hidden movement game based on the video game, which I have still not played any of. I've not played any Sniper Elite games at all, but this board game is just nice, straightforward, and gets the job done with a good theme behind it. One sniper against the, I guess, Germans, or whatever they're supposed to be in this game. I think that's undisclosed, but they essentially have to sneak into bases and go to certain objectives, but then the other side have to kind of figure out where's the sniper, can we box them in, herd them off with dogs, that sort of thing, with some special powers, not the dogs, but their characters, and the sniper can occasionally sort of come out of hiding and just like take a pot shot and take out some of the opposition. It's a cool game, very simple to play, and yet has that cool one versus many hidden movement aspect, which I really enjoy. But it is kind of dropping a little bit, and I haven't really found another hidden movement game to supplant it yet. I keep hearing about Mind Management, but the look of that game, I know nothing about the graphic novel it's based on. It's not really selling itself to me. Alright, my 78 is down from 65. This is a deduction game, a very good, clever deduction game, app-based. I mean, you pretty much have it all on the app. Hell, it could almost be a computer game in its sense, but this is still really solid, and I've got so much content to get through that I'm not entirely certain why I bought all the content in the first place. I'm like, I went on a bit of a completionist spree with Chronicles of Crime. Chronicles of Crime is really good fun though. You scan the QR codes on all the different cards to talk to people, go to locations, you have your phone with this kind of 3D, almost like 3D glasses set up where you can look around the room and check out evidence. That's my one weak link of the game though, because I do find that if you go looking around those rooms and you don't find a specific item because it's hidden away or it's just your vision's not so great, then it can mess up the rest of the scenario. And I wish there was a better way to do that, or a way to kind of go, oh, you get so many points if you identify all these bits, but you lost a couple of points because you didn't spot these. You know, that would have been better. But that blemish aside, it gets better as you go through the different iterations of the game. But I mean, I've still got to go through the Noir one, the Redwood one. I've still got, I've done some of the 1400 ones, but I haven't done the futuristic one or the 1920s one. I've got so much content in that box. Really need to get back to this one more often, but I still really enjoy it. You know, it's simple, you know, doesn't take too long, and still gives you like an interesting story with a lot of freedom as to what you want to do, and the different settings open up different kind of feelings of the game, like being able to rough people up in the Noir one or having a dog in the 1400s. You know, there's some cool little twists it throws on you, and for what doesn't really amount to much in the box, because it's all down to the cleverness of the app. All right. Number 77 has dropped 30 places from 47. This is, I lose track. This is probably my fourth favorite. Yeah, this will be my fourth favorite Garfield game. So yeah, there's quite a few to come. Garfield games make a lot of games I like. What can I say? And this is one of them. This is one of the oldest one I've played of the Garfield game series, and some people will want the Raiders of Scythia version. I'm not so sure. I much prefer the look and feel of Raiders of the North Sea, slightly upgraded with at least the first expansion. I can take or leave the second one, but the first expansion definitely with the mead that you can drink. I love mead. I've really gotten on to mead recently. Honey-based alcohol drink. It's just like perfect for me. And this one, very simple, but with a cool worker placement mechanic of put the meeple down, trigger the location, take another meeple off, trigger that location. 3 different colors, they go up in sort of rarity, and you need certain colors to go to a specific outpost to raid. It gets the theme down, it's nice and simple, you get to build up a crew of your people, and with the expansion you get a couple of other avenues to victory. Very straightforward. I don't think I've even played the app, to be honest. I think I've mostly just played this as a physical board game. Certainly it's never going to supplant the other 3 above this. I mean, there's quite a big gap between this one and my third favorite Garfield game. So, you know, it's in its own league, but still really enjoy this one and definitely deserves a spot. Number 76 is down from 60, 16 places, and it's another deduction game. Oh, well, how many deduction games are on this section? Probably not too many more, although I have spotted 1 or 2. But this one is a really cool one. Again, app-based. I am not opposed to having apps with games if they support the game. I am fine with that. But this is a really easy app to use. Everybody does it on the search for Planet X. It's a quick one, and yes, I am talking specifically about Planet X. I have played Lost Species, the sequel, which is very good as well. I prefer X, it's simpler to play and get into. Species has a couple of extra fiddly bits to deal with, and I'm not sure I like the randomness of those point scoring cards. I think they're a little bit too swingy, but other than that, it's still a good game. But Search for Planet X is just clean and simple.
I'll just bet that if we follow those planets, we'll find Planet X.
You've got to find this planet. It's in the mix, all these asteroids and comets and stuff that have all got their own logic rules, but there's a few other logic rules imprinted in the scenario, and using the app, you make your guesses using that great mechanic that probably is one of my favorite mechanics actually, of the whole, you take so much time to do an action and the person at the back is the next player. That I always find a cool thing, you know, whether it's a train Euro, Grand Trunk Journey I think used it, or a deduction game. That mechanic just works nicely. In fact, I think Archaeologic borrowed it as well for their game in my review. So the Search for Planet X is one of my favorite deduction games. It's just simple, quick, works well as a solo game, but you know, it's still pretty cool multiplayer trying to race each other to the final answer. It's just pretty solid all round.
Isn't that lovely?
Number 75 is down, I think, where have we got there? 75 is down 28 places. This one is on the decline, but I still really enjoy the game. I think the thing that's made it go on the decline was the recent expansion, and this is Empires of the North, the Portal game. This used to be a lot higher up in the list, but the problem is that after playing the expansions of this game, which was a bit of a letdown, you know, it didn't really have much of a story, the scenarios were fine, but nothing major. But the rulebook was just, oh god, I mean, the rulebook and the story bits just had so many errors in it. It really did spoil the game experience. And I think that's kind of soiled it down the charts a little bit, down to my 70s. Still enjoy it, but I haven't really picked it up to play since that experience. And at some point I probably need to get some of those factions out and just play the normal game, which was a lot better. But of course it's a solo only game, and there's a lot of games I've been playing lately that are better solo games. As much as I give praise to this one, you know, I think I gave it a 10 when it first came out, it's definitely dropped since. I think we're talking probably a 9, maybe 8. It has dropped a point or two in this time. But, you know, if you get the factions, there's still a good amount of replay value, and I like the idea that I don't have to deck build, so I can just whip out the deck, play it nice and quick, fairly simple mechanics, you know, subject to Portal's typical rulebooks, and, you know, get a game out and played, you know. So it does have a lot still going for it. But yeah, don't bother with that Lighthouse expansion. It wasn't particularly good. Number 74 is a new game, a brand new game, and somebody's going to be very happy if he's watching this video, because he didn't give me this game to review for a while because it had trains in it.
What?
Giving me a game that involves trades is, understandably, a bit of a worry for some people, but I joked with him that I wanted to try it because it has similarities in mechanics to a game I like called San Juan. This is Isle of Trains. This one is from Dranda Games, and it's just super simple. I've showed it to a couple of mates, they bought it instantly. That's how much they like it. I think they like it more than me, frankly. But it's the cool thing of, you know, yes, it's train themed, but whatever. I mean, you do a few deliveries, you drop off a few passengers now, but it's all card based, and you build up your locomotive with different carriages, again, from cards. Everything in the game is a deck of cards, and this is the San Juan link, because the locomotives you build are the cards. The resources you shove into the trains, like coal and that, are cards. The actual currency to buy the stuff is the cards. Yes, every time you want to build something, you look at its cost and you've got to discard that many cards to build it. It's that kind of thing. And then you've just got a few little things like passenger drops and deliveries and just building a big train in general, in upgrading the various pieces to get you points. And the game doesn't take very long, 45 minutes tops. Goes over very quickly as a 2-player, but even as a 3 or 4, it's not a long game at all, and it has a cool amount of positive interaction where you can give players stuff to load onto their trains. Yes, they have the good or the piece, but you get a bonus for putting it on their train. And there's this cool back and forth with players as you're kind of trying not to help somebody too much. You want to spread the love, and so everybody's getting a little bit of positive enforcement now and again. It's just a really cool design, and I gotta give props to something that is fairly cheaply made. I mean, yes, you can buy metal coins and the playmat. I don't bother with the metal coins. The playmat does look nice, but frankly, you could just get the normal version of this game, perhaps with those screen-printed meeples, and you've got a decent, relatively cheap package, and, you know, but a small package for a game that has a decent amount of meat in 45 minutes. It surprised me a lot, and check out the review for more details. Alright, number 73 has dropped one place from 72. That's why I read it weird. Yeah, this has gone pretty stable. And one thing I do love is the Dixit card mechanics. The Dixit cards, where you have all these weird, wonderful, surreal pictures. You know, sometimes I've compared it to something like Tim Burton on Speed. You know, and you know, they make some really cool games. Obscurio is, again, one of my favorite ones. This one is a co-op game with a traitor mechanic. So you're essentially trying to escape from what is essentially the Hogwarts library. A book is trying to tell you how to do it, and they have the picture cards, and that's one player who can't speak specifically apart from just get the game going. Everybody else is trying to figure out, right, based on these clues that they're giving us, which of these pictures is it that we need in order to get to the next room. The problem is, one of you in the group at the start of the game knows that you're the traitor, and you're effectively trying to keep everybody in the library. You want to stick around. You're the biggest bookworm I've ever seen, and you're just drawn to the books.
This is light.
You basically have to try and sabotage the group, but not let everybody else know you're doing it, because eventually they can try and suss you out. It's a really cool mechanism to throw in the game, and even if you took out the traitor, this game ain't easy. It's quite hard to get to the very end, but especially when you've got the traitor. And there's multiple levels of difficulty. I do highly suggest playing on the easier difficulties to begin with, because it's not easy. But man's it fun. Great if you've got, say, 6, 7 of you even, you know. I mean, it works even with a group of 4 to 5, frankly. But certainly I think if you've got a group of, say, 5 to 6, that's pretty ideal. And it's just a really cool game that nobody talks about anymore. I never see it played. never seems to get any love. I mean, Sam Healy used to talk about this all the time. I grabbed it on his recommendation and love it. But yeah, nobody else seems to have this game. It's a shame. Honestly, if you like the Dixit card mechanic, try this one. 72 is the next new returning game to the list. I believe it did in the early days pip the top 100. Not by a lot, but it did pip it. Recent plays at conventions have brought this one up, and I want to play it again at Handycon this week, although the problem is it's very hard to sell this game, and that is New Angeles. And New Angeles, our fantasy flight game, is a very cool negotiation game. It takes about 3 hours to play. It's based in a Netrunner universe, and essentially you all play a corporation. You're trying to stop the city from going to pot, you know, with various things like security forces, stopping riots and quelling uprisings and stuff. But the idea is that each of you has a rival in secret that you have to finish the game with more credits than they do, so a better income than theirs. But there's also a federalist who is secretly wanting the city to tank because the government's given them a good deal, but you don't know who they are. And so there's this great tension among the players because everybody is out for themselves, because everybody's got a secret agenda. You know, everybody looks like a federalist in some respects, but even if you're trying to sort of help the city, you're kind of doing it to help yourself. You know, yes, we can benefit by having security forces in this place. Look, it will stop those nasty guys there. This place will be safe. It's all good, and I'll get a shiny new asset for it. Yeah, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. And then somebody comes along and goes, nope, I think we should do a news broadcast for this area. It will quell the uprising. You know, protests will stop, and it'll be great. Yeah, you're both trying to help the city, but both of you just want a piece of that shiny new asset that you're bidding on.
They're private emails? That's a dangerous overreach of corporate power.
And even then, one of you might be just doing it to screw over something big. I have pulled off some belters in this game from, you know, some negotiation tactics or even as a Federalist reveal. I think the last time at I think it was at GridCon once I played this game. I played this game with 5 new players, and I was the Federalist, and for the whole game, we were doing all right, doing our bits and bobs, certainly did the negotiation, got to the very end, like the penultimate turn, and they were like, we can succeed this, it's fine, all we got to do is this, and this. I was like, well, I have the card to do that. Here, I vote we should do it. Let's move these androids to where they need to go. Thank you. And they all go over there in the corner. Oh, the looks on their faces. That felt so good.
Ah, smug mode.
A solid game, but people just don't know it. They don't want to jump in when I suggest it at conventions. It's a hard sell, but it's really good. What do we got next? The next one, 71, also brand new. This one does not kill the original game. It is a supplement to the original game because it depends on the player count. You know, would I like to play this with 2 players primarily? Yes. Because it's only a 2-player game, and it's Splendor Duel. I love Splendor. Splendor is still one of my go-to gateway games. I play it with my family a lot because my mum likes it, my dad likes it, and it's simple enough for them to remember the rules. But trust me, that's a big deal. But with Splendor, it's great at 2, 3, or 4 players. But Splendor Duel from Bruna Kafala, much like Seven Wonders Duel, gave a cool spin on the actual game, and so I would rather play this one over the original Splendor, providing I got 2 players, because obviously I can't play Splendor Duel with 3 or 4. So Splendor sits on my shelf down there now. Where is Splendor? Oh yeah, it's down there. You know, 3 to 4 players, I'll bring out Splendor with the expansion maybe. But Splendor Duel is right next door to it, and I will bring it out for 2 players because it's like very similar rules, but it's just got those that cool element with the board and the tiles of, you know, do I empty it so that the bag regenerates? I don't know, because if I do, I give my opponent a cool token they can use, and it's just good back and forth with similar feeling rules. It's a really solid 2-player game. Alright, going into the nope, we're still on the 70 here. 70, again, a new game to the list, the second to last new game on this section. And this one is a trick-taking game, sort of. It's kind of weird. The idea is that the cards you play are tricks, but the number and the color of the suit matters. But at different times of the game, they're more powerful or less powerful than they were before. This is Tidal Blade's Banner Festival. This is not a game many people at all have heard of, unless you went to Essen. But when you went to Essen and saw this, you also saw Flamecraft, and everybody was all on Flamecraft. Check out my review for more details on that one. Suffice to say, I like it, but I don't think it's all that. But Tidal Blade's Banner Festival, I actually prefer by a long shot, because this one is a clever trick taker. You move a piece around the middle of this board that can dictate how powerful the suits are. So your 9 orange can be the most powerful card in the game right now. But as soon as that piece moves to the next section, it could be one of the worst. And so you're trying to time when you win the tricks with where this piece moves. 3 different ways to score points. Put your banners down, win a little speedboat race in the middle, it's kind of like your sponsorship thing, or to get like fruit pieces in order to score points. But you get different effects depending on whether you win the trick, fall in the middle, or lose the trick. Win the trick, you get to move your speedboat. Middle, you get to put the banners out. Lose the trick, you get to trigger the effect on the card itself. So there's tactical choices as to why you would win, middle, or lose. I'll call it middle. Win, middle, lose the trick. And it's very simple, very quick. Definitely wants preferably the full count of players, or at least 4. I forget if it does 5, but it certainly does want 4 or 5 players. I think with 2 or 3 it's fine, but I think 4 or 5 is better because you have more spread with the tricks. There's no dummy pile, that kind of thing. But it looks gorgeous, very simple. It's an oversized box for sure. But most people are not even going to be aware this existed. But it's on my shelf, and I still bring it out from time to time. Very cool, underrated game.
I don't know what it is, but I want to try it.
My number 69 has dropped 23... No, it's dropped 46 places from 23. This is on the way down, and it makes me feel sad because I do really like this game. But the problem is I haven't played this in ages, and part of me wants to get it out and play, but I'm going to have to relearn quite a few rules. You know, it's not the easiest game to get into. I'd have to deck build, and it's hard to make a decent deck at this game because most people make meta decks that work really well. It's difficult to make a thematic deck that will work well. This is Lord of the Rings, the card game. This used to be in my top 10. I think it might have even been my favorite game at one point. I can't remember, did it ever hit my number 1? But it certainly was in the top 10 for a while, but it's dropping because I just don't find the time to play it. Everything is in these 2 folders and box here, and I just think, right, I'm gonna have to get these out, reread a bunch of the rules, find a scenario out of every scenario in the game, because I basically have all the content for this game before they started printing it in the big boxes. And they, and I've got a deck build as well. It's a lot of effort, and the same effort could be put into some solo games that I like more. So it's a problem. This could be on the way out of the top 100. I don't want it to be out of my collection because I do enjoy it, but there's no point in me selling this and buying the base set of the new way of releasing just to make it more compact, because what would be the point? I just need to find a way to get back into this. And you might think, well, why is it even on my top 100? I still enjoy the game. I still think it's a fantastic card game, but it's just falling because I don't get it played very often. And maybe next year it won't be in the top 100 at all if I still can't get it played. But, if people are down to play it, I would like to play it. But sadly, I'm the only person locally, I think, who does play it. And so it's me or bust. I did try the octagon thing, but I couldn't really get how it worked. It was a little bit weird. Maybe I should resort to that. Maybe that's the way I could get it played. But again, I just feel like I'm going to be the noob compared to loads of other people who know what they're doing. I don't know. It's kind of a hard one, this one, but I still really like it. But yeah, it's falling, and falling quite steeply. Number 68 has fallen from 59. I'm surprised at this actually, because I would have thought it would go up slightly, but I still really enjoy this Euro. It's got one of the best rule books in it. It's an underrated title for sure, because in this trilogy, people focused more on the first one and sort of the third one, although the third one was pretty bad and wasn't worth playing. This is the Manhattan Project series, and I'm specifically talking about Energy Empire, which is easily the best of the 3. And this one is really cool. A simple worker placement game, but with different buildings that you can build for special effects and engine building. You've got the dice of the different types of power, from green to water to coal to nuclear. And so if you've got nuclear power, it's going to constantly pollute your little board, but you get lots of power for it.
My eyes, the goggles do nothing.
You're going to these different worker placement spots. You're grabbing the different buildings, constructing them and creating cool little combos, but then you've got some event cards you've got to be aware of. You've got the UN to potentially please. There's a lot of different buildings that you can make, and of course the different dice, the power plant dice that you build. When do you recharge and get more energy? Do you do it now? Do you do it later? Because it's dynamic worker placement. Again, a really cool thing in games where you don't take back your workers until you decide to take back your workers. So other people might be waiting for you to jump off a spot. you know, before, and you're kind of thinking, when are you going to hurry up and retrieve? You're probably going to retrieve soon. I don't know. Do I wait, or do I just spend the extra energy and go there anyway? It's like, hurry up. You know, it's that kind of thing. But yeah, really good rulebook, really solid rulebook, good solo mode. This is just a really cool game that I want to get played very soon if I can. 67, fallen 30 places from 37. This is one of the games back when this publisher was actually putting out really good games.
Wow, that was pretty brutal even by my standards.
No backsies.
It's certainly been a while since this publisher has put out any game I particularly liked, and that includes current games about bees. And, you know, we'll have to see whether Dragons suddenly makes an appearance soon, but, you know, that's for a different time. This, though, was one of the first Stonemaier games I played, probably the second one overall, and it's still a really good fun game, Scythe. Scythe is the big engine builder with the mechs, yes, the big board, slightly oversized for what it is, but still a good efficiency puzzle where you've just got your combo of the faction and the industry board, and you're trying to do the various things like build the buildings, upgrade your abilities, you know, go attack other players and such. But with the different combinations of setup, you can try different little paths to victory, as well as, you know, encountering more encounter cards and trying out some of the modules from the expansions. Now, on that note, that's my slight problem and why this game's going down, because this is one of those games that I don't really want to teach. And a lot of the times people go, oh, I'd fancy a 6-player game of Scythe, and then you get 4 people who know what they're doing and 2 people who come in new, and I'm just like, oh, do I have to? Because now we don't get to use any of the cool modules, and if we do, the game's going to take forever. I mean, I've played a 7-player game of this in 90 minutes with people who know what they were doing. That was lightning speed. But it can take twice as long as that if you've got new players who don't really know what they're doing, and the new player is going to get creamed. They're not going to win this game. It's physically impossible for them to do so. So I want to play this with people who know what they're doing, and it just doesn't happen often. You know, the Fenris expansion with those cool modules that it has in it, I can barely use those, you know, because it's too complicated for most new players to deal with. So on that basis, this game doesn't get played as much as it used to, which is why it is on the way down. You know, so hopefully Scythe can, you know, make a resurgence and stick around. I mean, hell, it was a big enough box for it, and I still really enjoy it, but I'm definitely like, people want to play Scythe. Does everybody know the game? Yes, I'm in. It's that scenario, and that scenario just doesn't happen as often as I would like. 66, down from 51. Honestly, this surprises me as well, because I think it should be on the rise, actually, because I am touting the praises of this little filler game so hard. You know, when it comes to polyomino Tetris games, this is one of the best that there is. It is a 30-minute tops filler, even with 4 players. It completely killed Baron Part for me. Baron Part used to be in the top 100, and it was a cool game. It still is a cool game, but I have no reason to play it, and ever since I got this game, I've never played it. This is Alice's Garden. Check out my review for more details if you want a full idea of why it's so good.
I think she's pretty.
Quiet, bud.
So why so good? Well, it's super simple, super light, looks pretty on the table, but it's the cool thing of having the bags in front of you with the different shaped pieces, having the player choose which bag they want to take tiles out, and then everybody has to open draft what's there. It's cool, simple, but you've got your tiny little board, you've got the chess pieces, the roses, the different mushrooms and that. Very simple to play and teach. It's over in 30 minutes, absolute tops, and that's with 4 players. And it comes in a small box, costs you something like 14 quid. I mean, I think Kienda has it for something like 14 quid at the moment. It's so cheap, and yet it's got green felt bags and the cool tiles and nice artwork. How they do it for that price, I don't know. This is game right levels of really good component quality for the money, and it's just a great filler. I usually love to put this in my bag, I love to put this in my bag, and it usually gets played as a filler. It's just so solid. Alright, number 65, the last new entry on this segment, and this has got a bit of a caveat, because this one is from Fantasia Games, who certainly are, I mean, their smaller stuff I'm not as big a fan of, but I mean, I like Sweet Mess, which is not in my top 100, but it would certainly be in my top 200, but I really like Endless Winter. The game with the Paleo-American tagline, whatever it was, but the idea that you had your own kind of sort of, I don't know, Inuit tribe or so, and you were building an engine of putting tents out on this map for area control, a cool deck building system where you got cards for the different tribesmen, and you played them with a mix of worker placement on different actions to collect animals, to put down monoliths and stuff. It was so well produced, it looks gorgeous on the table, and a really good fun game. But there's a caveat. a big one. The only reason it's on this top 100 is because of a variant rule. They put in an official variant where you remove one of the workers you have for the first couple of rounds. I believe it's the first 2 rounds. Don't quote me on that. I think it's the first 2 rounds you lose a worker. And the thing with that is that if you don't do that, the game is just too easy. You have no problems just getting a ton of everything. You want animals? Great. You want monoliths? Great. You want all the staff, the tribe cards in the world? Great. You can have it all because with the workers that are in the normal game, you just have flush with everything. As soon as you use that variant to remove one of the workers, the game becomes a lot more tighter, and it not too tight to be too punishing, but suddenly you can't do everything. You have to cherry pick what you do a little bit more. And it just works so much better. Not to mention it shortens the length of the game because everybody's got 1 less worker in the first 2 rounds. It's just... And because you have less of an engine building up in the first 2 rounds, it means that the 3rd and 4th round doesn't have you doing a million things. So it cuts the length, makes it tighter, makes it better. With those in place, this is a 65 on my list. But otherwise, wouldn't even be in the top 100.
I was frozen today!
Number 64, down from 53, is another deduction game. Is it the last one? Yep, it's the last deduction game for this last batch of 20. I can't guarantee it's the last one for the whole list, though. This one is a game that some people really do not like, mainly because of its look. The look is pretty dire. It's abstracted, it's mainly just a bunch of shapes on a pretty weird sort of messy color board, so yeah, it's not winning any prizes for art and components, but it's cheap and very thinky, and this is called Cryptid. Cryptid has you trying to find a monster or whatever in the middle of this map, but based on the setup of the map and the clues that you get at the start, there is only one possible place it can be. And so with the clues that you're asking the group or singular players, you're able to kind of whittle down where, based on these various logic rules, the creature must be. And it's basically a race to see who can do it first. Very simple rules and very quick. It is frustrating how you teach this to players and some people just cannot seem to get basic rules or information right. I mean, it's like, you tell them it means this and then they somehow think it means something completely complicated. You get people who are like, oh, I've got to give you a piece of information. It can't be there. Oh wait, no, it can, if only I paid attention for more than 5 seconds of the rules explanation. That can get frustrating, but that's just the way with all deduction games. And so you're playing deduction games with people who can actually, I don't know, think. It certainly helps.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
Aside from that blemish, I still really enjoyed this one. Not a looker, but a really good experience. Mostly. Let's see, 63 is down from 52, 11 places, and I nearly splurted out the name just then. This is a solo-only game. I bought the Korean version, I think, first. I think it was Korean. And bought, the new version from Stronghold Games a bit later. And part of me kind of regrets that. I almost kind of wish I kept the original version, because I think the artwork just lent itself to a nice bit of charm with the original Sashi and Sashi style artwork. But it is what it is. It's the copy I've got, and it's Coffee Roaster. Coffee Roaster is still really good fun. I mean, it's just a cool little Zen theme. You're drawing tokens out of a bag. It's a bag builder, and you're trying to brew a nice cup of coffee. Your different coffees that you make have different setup with the tokens. You draw them out, and based on what the token is, you can do little manipulation techniques with, like, putting some in, drawing some out, getting rid of some completely, and you keep going for a certain amount of time as you want to roast. Bear in mind that some warrant roasting shorter or longer than others, and then once you're done, you then draw about 9 or 10, I think it's 9 tokens out of the bag one by one, and create your cup of coffee and see how well you do. It's essentially a beat your own score deal, but it's just a very cool Zen-like solo game. Just, simple rules, simple little mechanics, but just nice. It's just, a quick little bag builder. You can play one scenario or do 3 in a row. I tend to play just one on its own, or maybe a couple just individually. I'm certainly hit and miss as to how good I can be at this game. But yeah, it's just a very nice, pleasant game. If you can get the Korean version, then it's Korean or Taiwanese, I forget. But if you can get that version, I think get that version, because it is just a nice, kind of pleasant, charming look to it. Whereas the new version, you could argue, is better artwork, but there's a couple of little bits that make you think, oh, I wish I had the charming version again. But that little thing aside, still really enjoy it. 2 more to go. My 62 is up for... Oh, this is the one that went up. This is up from 98, 36 places, and that's definitely based on some recent plays with some mates. And I'm actually kind of surprised it went up this far, actually. I guess maybe they were just really good games, but, you know, I'm glad it's not fallen out of my list. This is a Fantasy Flight game, underrated as well, uses an app. In fact, it was one of the first games that actually used an app, so this was kind of one of the pioneers in a sense, and that is XCOM the board game. You know, I've played the XCOM computer games, and I really like them, with the skirmish tactical combat, and the sort of the overseer of the world thing, that people are getting scared. I've got to think, well, where do we go? What missions do we do? Well, this one basically takes that latter aspect and turns it into a timed game, but not those timed games where it's all timed and nothing else. Otherwise, I wouldn't really enjoy it. This one has you doing things like defending your base, going on missions, shooting down UFOs, and teching up your guys. But there's a timed phase helped by the app, and then once it runs out, you would kind of take 5 and resolve all the different aspects.
Well, that went okay. I tell you, when you know you can't scratch, that's when you really have to, huh?
So yes, you have that short period of and then you get to relax a little bit while everything resolves, and then most things go to pot, but you're trying to hold on by the skin of your teeth until you can eventually do the final mission. We've had some really close calls with this, and yes, there's a high luck aspect because you're rolling dice to get successes. You have to accept that it's that kind of game, but man, does it look, sound, and feel like XCOM. Yeah, minus the fact you're not doing the skirmish combat missions, but you know, it looks the part. They did a great job. Definitely one of the better video game ports to a board game out there. You know, all the artwork is straight from the game, all the names are from the game, even the sound effects on the app are from the game. It really does feel like XCOM. And I played a couple of games of it in recent months and just really enjoyed my time. You know, if you get a group of people who like this game, it's a very good, fun experience. And I love co-ops, what can I say?
What? It's still on? Oh!
And finally, let's see, 61 is down 22 places from 39. Just hasn't been played in a little while, but other than that, it's still a phenomenal gateway game, and most people will sing the praises of this like crazy. And to be fair, I'm one of them, because this is a fantastic gateway game, and that is Cascadia. The classic, well, the modern classic. I mean, it's such a weird phrase, modern classic, you know. Yeah, Mike DeLisio uses it a lot, and usually not in the correct posture, but, you know, certainly this one I believe is a modern classic. Cascadia is played by loads of people. It's so simple to get into. The expansion, not so much. I played the expansion at Essen, and it's like, okay. So this expansion basically wants you to play with 5 or 6 players, something that I didn't want to do with Cascadia in the first place, and it gives you an expansion with these cool, like, you know, things that you can build and go for in points, but the problem is they're better geared for if you're playing it with 5 or 6 players. So I don't really want the expansion. This is a game I would cap at 4 players, and if you can play it 2 or 3, even better, but to be honest, it's still one I like to pull out for a solo mode only, because as a solo game, this game is just good, zen-like fun. It ticks all the boxes really that you need for a solid gateway game, and if you want to make it more gamery, then just use the higher complexity cards for the animals. You know, you can use the lower ones or the higher ones. Maybe that's the only thing I would want from the expansion, actually, just more of those cards. But I don't want the new module, because I think it's just overcomplicating the game outside of gateway level, and I certainly do not want to play this with 5 or 6, not on my agenda. But, you know, I don't have to worry about the expansion, because I just have the base set, looks cool, is produced well, it's just what you need from a good gateway game. Whew, well, there you have it, another batch of 20, and I'll try and get this one done before I go to Handycon. I mean, I went home for 4 days to my parents last weekend. I'm at Handycon for 3 days this weekend, so yeah, I've got a lot of stuff going on, which is why there hasn't been that many videos lately, but I am going to obviously speed things up once I get back from Handycon, because then I'll be back and I'll have weekends spare at that point. But yeah, we got another bunch of games to go through. I think I will, as I think about it, I think I will do this format for the next 2 videos. So we're going to do my 60 through to 41, and then we'll do my 40 through to 21, and then we'll do those next 2 in proper sort of top 10 batches of 10, because I think most people are kind of waiting for the top 20. But, you know, these games are still cool. They're still good fun, and you're going to get, you know, even if it was my 100 against my number 1, yes, I'd rather play my number 1, but I will still happily want to play my number 100 at any point. These are all games I really love, and I think at this point, yeah, we have long since passed into the territory where all these games are basically ones I've rated at least a 9 out of 10. So these are distinction level games for me. Really enjoyed them. In fact, what was the last 8 I had? Probably I guess, mate, I don't know, 9s I think were in the last section as well. Yeah, so a lot of this is stuff that I can really sing the praises about. And for those of you who say, well, you know, curmudgeon, you hate everything, I got 100 games here that I rate distinction levels. You know, well, nearly 100 games that I rate distinction level. Come on, we all like different things. Yes, I like to rag on some games, but I do like to love other games. It's just a case of catching me at the right time. So that's it for me on this episode of the Broken Meeple. If you like what you see, then please thumb it up on YouTube. Give me your thoughts below on these games. Do you like them? Do you hate them? I'm totally happy to hear whatever you say about them. You know, we all like different things. And if you do love or hate a game, then say why, because it's interesting to know the why rather than just the what. You know, it's how I roll. It'd be cool to see how you roll as well. Until next time though, remember, as always, it's only a game. Take care, and bye for now.